writers group to be able to spend a week in India before this event. And we had the opportunity to go to a Himalayan village and visit some of the impoverished people in this village. And one of my dear friends, she got up in a group in front of these. There was a bunch of women that had trekked miles to come visit us, to come see us, to come hear our words, along with their children. And as my friend opened up and started speaking to them, she let them know, you are smart like me. You are powerful like me. You can change the world like I am changing the world. And I thought, wow, that's neat, because I know this friend of mine, at one point in time, she didn't believe these very words that she's speaking about herself. So there's no way on earth she could have been able to show up to all these other people and teach them that you are this just like I am. And here she is today, changing the world, changing many lives, changing my life. And the thing that was the most profound experience about that is the children all gathered together and they sung us a song. And don't get me wrong, their song was absolutely beautiful. Their song was of hope. Their song was of peace. Their song was about change. However, the thing that stuck out to me the most was they would sing, someday we shall have peace. Someday we will have hope. Someday. They continually use the word someday. And I'm here to tell you, my friends, someday may never come. I choose to use my words differently. I choose to speak about peace as today. Today I am peace. Today I am strong. Today I am change. Today I am love. So I'm going to close with this. My challenge to all of you, with whatever challenge you may be dealing with in your life, you can change that challenge simply by the words that you state. Simply by owning the fact that today I am powerful. Today I am magnificent. Today I can accomplish anything. And that's where it starts, here. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to my good friend Spencer, and thank you for your time.
I love you, Travis. See the power in that word. I love you, Travis. It's not often you get to travel halfway around the world with your best friend and then sit next to him and, speak. Travis and I have similar stories, but they're super different. See, I grew up, my name is Spencer Meesom, and I grew up in a small town in Utah with one mom and one dad. 5 siblings. See the differences? But the similarities are that through my conditioning, through what I was taught by my parents growing up, I developed some beliefs about myself. And I love my parents, and I know that my parents did the best that they could with what they had. And I still developed some beliefs about myself from, and it maybe wasn't just my parents, but maybe my teachers, maybe people I went and worshiped with, things like that, my friends, my peers. I started developing these beliefs about myself. And similar to Travis, I started judging myself and went through some interesting experiences to get to where I am now. And I'm going to kind of fast forward through all of that and just jump, kind of be super quick. But how many of you have kids? How many of you have children? Okay, how many of you were once a child? Okay, so we can all relate with this on some level, right? Do you ever remember being a child or having a child and said, don't jump on the bed. Anybody ever said that? Or don't climb on the furniture. And what did your child or what did you hear at that point? Yeah, jump on the bed. See, the word don't doesn't register with the kid. So when you say don't climb on the furniture, the kids climb on the furniture, and then we pull our hair out wondering why the kids are climbing on the furniture. Do you get what I'm saying? See, I believe that we're all creators, and we're either creating consciously or we're creating unconsciously, but we're creating the exact results that we're living in our life. And so you want to know how you can see if you're living a good life or if you're living a bad life, if you're happy with your life or if you're not, if you're using words of increase or if you're using words of decrease. Super simple. You know how you do it? You look at your results. If you're happy with the way your life is going, then keep doing what you're doing. And if there's some things that you'd like to tweak, be open to tweaking a few things. Be open to changing a few things, not necessarily everything. I have a lot of my life that is super, super good. And then I have a few of those things from my history, which right broken down, it's a word, his story. With my history, which is a belief that I have, maybe from when I was a kid, maybe from whenever, about not being good enough or not being whatever it is. I got my shit. Can you say that in here? I have my stuff. I promise I have my stuff. But most of my life is really, really good. And even that stuff is a teaching tool for me to realize that I'm not exactly where I want to be. I'm mostly where I want to be. So I'm going to share one more quick story. We talked a lot about water. We talked about the Earth's surface being 70-some% water, ourselves being 78% water. I'm hugely attracted to water. And one of my family's favorite things to do is we have a little ski boat. We like to go to the lake. And I've done my best to teach my children what I'm telling you, that what we speak into creation is what is. And so as opposed to saying, don't climb on the furniture, I will say, keep your feet on the floor, please, right? Now, does it make a difference? I believe it does because I've seen the results, but you can go test it for yourself. So anyway, if any of you have ever been on a ski boat, are you familiar with how this works? You get on the water, there's a boat, you tie a rope to the back of the boat, you hold onto the rope, and you let the boat drag you, and this is recreation in some parts of the world, okay? Sounds super fun. I get that. I get that you're all saying, yeah, super awesome. But one of the complications with having a ski boat, and one thing that happens is that the rope, once the skier or whoever is behind the boat is no longer behind the boat, you turn the boat around, and you go back to pick the person up, and the rope has the potential to get stuck in the propeller of the boat, right? Because the propeller of the boat moves the boat. And so I remember being on the lake last year with my 11-year-old son, Cameron, and I turned around and I said, hey, keep the rope out of the propeller. No, actually, I didn't say that. I said, don't let the rope get stuck in the propeller. And he looks right back at me and he says, so Dad, what you just told me to do was to let the rope get stuck in the propeller. And I said, what? And he said, Dad, you just told me to let the rope get stuck in the propeller. Are we going to use the language of increase or are we going to use the language of decrease? So I'm getting schooled by my 10-year-old, 11-year-old, with something as simple as that. Do you get how words can change the world? Do you get how as we speak in what I would call the language of increase, speak as to what I choose to have in my life, the good news as opposed to the bad news, how things could change? A few of my friends and I had the opportunity yesterday to walk through Delhi into what is the Tibetan market. And we were having a conversation with one of the shop owners there after buying some things. And he said something that I found as super profound. He said, in a nutshell, he said, do you know why God gave us two eyes? And of course we said no. He said, it's so that we can see the good and so that we can see the bad. Do you know why God gave us two ears? We responded the same. No, he said, it's because we're to hear the good and we're to hear the bad, or what we perceive as good and bad. And then he said, do you know why God only gave us one mouth? Can anyone guess? We're only to speak the good, people. Thank you.
Would it be all right if I shared one more thing since we have a little bit of time and then questions? Is that okay? Is that okay? I don't know how much longer do we have? Oh, we have lots of time. Okay. When I spoke with Dr. Harbin, she asked me to share this, and I said if we have time. Men and women are both involved in conception, okay? I've found that some of you may know the term fractals, but basically that sacred geometry, relationships, cycles of evolution happen on a small cycle and happen on a really big cycle. So as part of, and I've been recovering from a head injury for quite a while, I went through rebirthing, and I became fascinated, just drawn like crazy to explore the embryological developmental process. A couple things. One is, once the conception occurs, it occurred to me that women are the carriers of the conception. And I think all of us, the feminine in all of us, and I'm grateful there's definitely wonderful men, is giving birth to this new world. And I wanted to share that there are actually 4 crises that occur in the womb. And crises 3 and 4 are actually, I can observe it going on in the world as a whole now. Crises 3 is when the heart starts out above the head, outside the body, and comes down below the brain and into inside. What are we doing now? Focusing a lot more about coming from our heart. Realizing that our heart is 5,000 times magnetically stronger than our brain. That there are more signals that go from the heart to the brain than there is from the brain to the heart. The 4th crisis is the embryo turns upside down. Well, what are all the concepts, a lot of the concepts about our world now? We're turning upside down. To be able to be born is what the embryo does, turns upside down to come out the birth canal. As a world, a universe, we're doing the same thing. And so what I wanted to invite us all to know and to pass on is that the fact that we're all sitting here, the fact that we came and we're listening, and we were born, successfully born, we know in the cells of our being, as long as we listen to the wisdom of our body. I say our body is a Bible, not the Bible, but it is a Bible. And when we listen and we embody language and words congruently through our whole being, we know how to make it through because we've already done it. Thank you.
We would just like to open up if anybody has any questions, and I'm telling you right now, if you have any weird questions that you may think are weird about polygamy or our culture, I promise you I'm an open book. I'm more than happy to talk about my upbringing. Spencer's the same, so please, if any of you have any questions or comments, please share.